Hi,
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm just about to sneeze,
Okay.
or not. I'm not sure.
Well, now that you said it, you might not, or you
I
might.
think probably that.
Yeah.
So, are you celebrating a particular day?
No, just
Oh, okay,
no.
I see.
Yeah.
You celebrating your cat?
Always, yes. No,
Oh,
always.
good,
Um,
good,
I
good.
will say the fireplace is purely the fire is well, it's a real fire, but it's purely decorative because it's actually very unseasonably warm here. It's like the 50s. How about you? What
Oh,
is
good.
your?
It's not yet. It's
Yeah.
not yet in the 50s, but it will be in New York by Wednesday or
Oh, is
Thursday.
that? Oh, okay. All right. So you're warming up
So
too.
it's fine. It's still, I'm in the country. There's still some snow on the ground. It's
Sure.
decorative. It's cold, but it's very sunny. So,
Yeah.
and it's
Oh, okay. Yeah.
so maybe we're over
Yeah,
the
we
worst.
we usually get one more fake out where you start to think I can put my jacket away and whatnot, and then
Yeah,
there'll
yeah,
be one more week of like it'll just dip down,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But yeah, so what's new with you? How is Victoria back or is how's her mother
Her
doing?
mother had her surgery on yesterday, and it apparently went very well.
Good,
It's a
good.
long surgery. She's out of it, and she's going to come home tomorrow.
Okay,
And Victoria will come back tomorrow, and she has a, a distant family member who's going to look after her mother when she comes out.
uh-huh.
So it's all good. It was a good thing she went down, but it was a very tricky operation, but it was apparently went very well.
Good.
So
No,
it's
good, good,
all
good.
good. Um,
And then you went to the dentist. Was that maintenance, like preventative, or were you having an issue?
well, it no, it wasn't. It may have been maintenance for the dentist's bank account. I don't know. Um, I had a very good dentist who retired, and he was of the I don't do anything unless it's necessary kind of
Yes. Yeah.
philosophy, right? But his practice was inherited by I think I'll manage to find something to do every time you come and see
Yeah.
me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I they he and a very strict nurse who what was that one in
Nurse Ratchet.
yeah nurse I had nurse Ratchet. Yes, she's humorless. She's probably she could be my age. She dresses very severely in black, and she's thin, and she and the dentist have convinced me that if I don't have in-depth gum cleaning, which would consist of 4 1-hour sessions,
Huh.
that my teeth, which have served me well for almost 80 years, well, I don't know when I started getting teeth, but let's say
Yes.
78 or
Yes.
77 years, right? I've never lost a tooth. I've had
Huh.
molars removed.
Huh.
I've never had root canal. I've had caps, etc. So they've convinced me that something terrible is going to happen suddenly at the end of this point in my life, right?
Yes.
And I mean, I've done the math with them. It will cost me a little bit out of pocket. It will cost my
Right.
insurance
Of
people
course.
more.
Yes.
Um, but I have to applaud them for their salesmanship.
I
Uh,
I I feel like I have
they're also
exact.
making, she's also, she's obsessed with, I don't know if you can see this.
Yes.
This is something
Oh,
that
it's a
I'm supposed
flosser.
to put. Well,
Yes.
yes, but I have, first of all, there are many different brands
Sure.
and sizes and types of this,
Yes.
but there's only one that I'm allowed to buy. Only one. and I have to use it in a very specific way between each
Yes.
two.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Although I forced her to admit that there are some teeth that have no spaces between them.
Right. No.
And she reluctantly had to admit that therefore I couldn't, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So no, that was I'm dragging it out, but basically it was routine,
Uh-huh.
and I go once a year for a checkup and X-rays, and they always find something that's going to make my insurance company spend money. But
Right.
other than that, I'm okay.
I feel like I had exactly the same experience with a car mechanic. And actually, a friend of mine, a coworker, took their car to the same mechanic, which I didn't even know. Neither of us recommended it to each other. I think it's just probably because it's was one of the closest ones to our job at the time. But I've been taking it there for years, and then the main guy retired. The other guy, I knew he had always been there. It wasn't like a new guy took over, but suddenly, yeah, it felt like they were upselling you everything. Suddenly they were like finding things. Suddenly, like, I mean, all the kind of like, do you need a cabin air filter? And I'm like, I can buy one for $7.99. I don't need you to change it for $80. Thanks, kind of thing. And so, and then my colleague, just completely without me saying anything, was like, have you noticed a change in their service since he retired? And I said, oh, absolutely, and so, yeah, neither of us take our cars there anymore, but yeah.
The
And
irony is that the dentist I went to who retired, I
yes,
went to him because my old dentist,
yes,
who I never really trusted, told me I had to have a root canal.
I remember, yes,
And and part of telling me that was to pick up the phone in my presence and have a conversation with his root canal pal, right?
yes.
About my symptoms. And the conversation sounded so rehearsed that I thought, no, 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 no,
Uh,
no, that I would get a second opinion. So I went to this other doctor that a lot of people that I work with went to, and he said, no, you don't need that at all. In fact, that was when I had the molar removed. He said, do you want these molars? I said, no. He said, well, take them out. You don't want,
right.
right? And so, yeah. So the point is, if you're not a specialist,
Yeah,
how do you know? You
yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah.
And I, yeah, anyway. So I've been trying not to watch this car crash, but this, I can't tear my eyes away.
Which part? I mean, yeah, I mean,
I feel like I want to turn around and say to somebody, can you see what's going on? Do you see
yeah,
what's going on? Do you
yeah.
see it? I mean, I don't know. Does everybody see it? Am I the only person? No, obviously not. But
Everybody doesn't see it in the same way. I mean, everyone.
well, yeah, it seems the gut. It seemed to me. I mean, it seems that the people who are the politicians who are standing up to it the most are the governors, in a
Yes,
way, but because they're not beholden to Trump,
right.
Democratic governors, and although they have a lot to lose, I guess, the federal funding, but they don't care.
Well, I mean, I think. Well, I think we'll find out what the. But I no, we knew our incoming governor sued was our former attorney general, and he sued Trump 100 times during the last administration. It's what he ran on, and so he very much ran on a. If
Okay,
it's Trump, I will. We
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and federal judges. I mean, we just had a judge in Baltimore, a Biden appointee, who struck down much of this DEI thing as sort of vague, unenforceable, illegal to the
yeah.
unconstitutional. And, that'll have to play out now in court, and they'll probably come up with a different version that's more specific and whatnot. I mean, it's.
But they fired the top black and female people in the armed forces, the
Yes,
top generals,
just openly and
one
just
man,
not. I
one
mean,
woman. I
with
mean,
without.
with no, there are people being fired who have exemplary records, right?
And no, and that's happening. And I mean, this is a well. I was going to say this is it's out of the playbook from X. What they learned from X is when you mass fire people, you have to say it's for performance, even if they had, and you'll just worry about the lawsuits. You'll let it play out in court. But yeah, these are people who had, 3 months ago they had positive reviews. So there's no, they don't have anything in their records. And we're talking about thousands and thousands of people. Yes, it's happening at the top level, but it's also happening at the just,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, it's yeah. You
So
so
you think it's when it hits people's pocketbooks? I mean, you think that I mean Trump is now at 43%.
Right. Yes. No. He's polling. His polls. People. So he's polling down. Elon Musk is very Elon. No one wants Elon Musk involved in the government. That's polling very very badly. His policies. Immigration. He's still strong on though. People seem to think they like what he's doing. Although I mean, this whole thing where they're shipping people to Guantanamo Bay, and they said that they were hardened criminals, but then even their own data suggests, 30% of them or more are not. They said so this. Oh well, NPR didn't say casting, but NPR suggested, having spoken to some of the families of people who say, they've been in this country for years, they have no record, they're not a violent criminal. One of the commonalities among the nonviolent offenders that they took there are that they have tattoos, and they, like I said, NPR didn't use the word casting, and that sounds. But you know how Trump castings. People are saying they did say photo op. They said basically people are being shipped to Guantanamo for photo ops to look good because their numbers aren't as high as they'd like it to be. They want to be detaining 1,200 people a day, but it's only 600, but they have these, but they're.
Yeah. I mean, the irony is if they're cutting funds, then then they don't have enough people to find people to arrest. Plus, they're having difficulty arresting enough people anyway, because
But I also think, I mean, especially in this last week of, confirmations, this idea that Trump sort of cast that he's governing as like central casting, who he picks at the top levels of government, who he fires at the top levels of government, who's getting arrested, are all based on optics, or based
yeah,
not on any measure of reason and that, I mean, that's the part that's wild to me. That's the part like, are you seeing this? Are you?
well, he was the one who put a crown on his image, didn't he? I mean, he I mean, yeah, it's imperial.
Well, we're only a month.
It's shocking what they said in Germany. I mean, it's shocking what he's doing with Ukraine. Like, you give us half of your minerals and we might support
No,
you.
and that, yeah, I mean, and that's that. I mean, well, a couple of things here. Yeah, no, well, yeah, no, that truly is shocking. I mean, and to completely, I mean, like Zelensky said, completely just parrot Soviet state television propaganda that, I mean, that Zelensky's the aggressor, that Zelensky started it. That, I mean, that's
I
this
don't
is
think half the people in Russia believe that if they were allowed to say it aloud. And yet
right. I
Donald
mean,
Trump
but
does.
this is true. Up is down, black is white, war is slavery. This is 1984. I mean, it's. And we're only a month in, and he's talking about a third term. He's talking about he likes Putin's been in power for about 25 years. He likes that idea. That's fine with him.
Well,
That's who he is. And I mean, we're talking about since this country's founding, we do things because it's the right thing to do. And yes, it is in our own best interest, because I guarantee you, if Russia takes if Russia takes Ukraine, they'll take Europe, and then they'll. I mean, in their mind, and then the U.S. I mean, it is our own protection. Being in NATO, the WTO, these are all actually for our own protection. But we participate in them because they're the right thing to do, as we have since our country's founding. Is that and now this we quid pro quo. You owe us because we've given you billions that we want your minerals. I mean,
He wants to be at the table with Russia and China, and he wants to be at a poker table with Putin and Xi, so that the world can see he's a strong man too. But he also thinks that he can beat them at their games.
well, I mean,
And,
that's
and
the part.
they have been in power in their countries for a long time
Yes.
because not because they're stupid and because they have different political systems, right?
Yeah.
And they're playing him like a violin.
No, I mean, and that's the part that even from the first term. I mean, when he would meet with, well, again, Putin, with Erdogan, with these dictators, to me, I was like, well, has he no shame? Wouldn't he be embarrassed by the optics of this? But yeah, in his mind, he thinks he doesn't see, he is their puppet. I mean, him and Musk are literally just Putin's puppets at this point, but he thinks he has the upper hand, and his people are telling him he does, and his followers think he's playing them like a violin, which is, I mean, again, up is down, black is white, it's.
He is still deeply impressed by and seeks to be accepted by men who are stronger or wealthier than him, and he always has been. He's always looked up to people.
I mean, that sounds a lot like daddy issues.
No, it is totally daddy issues. I mean, in New York, he hung around people some of whom had, he wanted to be friendly with people who really did have a lot of money, some in his business and some in other businesses. And I think he suffered from an inferiority complex, which is, I mean, you can see it from his desire to have his name on every building. It's like, and he doesn't care whether people, I mean, he says he owns them. He doesn't. He basically licenses his name anyway. But, I mean, he's in awe of someone like Elon Musk. It doesn't matter how he made his money. The fact is, he's got much more than Donald Trump will ever have, no matter how much he deals with people like. I mean, he's doing deals with the guy that chopped somebody up in his embassy.
Yes.
Yes, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
So I'm sure he thinks he's a great guy, and that was a smart thing. I don't know. Where are the Democrats? I mean, where are they?
Okay. Here's a really hard question. Well, yeah, no. I mean, where are they? But what can they do given the limited where we are right now? But okay, midterms. Eyes on the midterms. Obviously, donating to Democrats right now is way down. They're going to need money in the midterms. But one, I mean, I hate to say this. I'm trying to say this as gently as I can. In essence, do they deserve it? For a couple of reasons. One, were they good stewards of it the last time? Because they spent $1 billion. I donated some. I mean, I bought the hats. I bought, $1 billion.
Yeah.
And again, what are they doing right now? What are their policies? How did they course correct and say firmly and stand up and really message strongly? Because right now, they're just in corners licking wounds, and I have no reason why I would give them any money whatsoever, but they're going to need it. I mean, if we want to win the midterms, people are going to have...
I delete all this stuff. I get texts all day long.
Yes.
People who are running in, I don't know where they are, in other states and other districts, and they're all desperate, and they're all saying we've got to do this, we've got to do that. I don't know who they are, but the ones that did have the power they didn't do much with it, I guess. So yeah, the midterms could change things, but
No, but okay. Well, speaking of okay, where are the Democrats? What are they doing? Governors, your governor, she had a moment where she thought maybe she'll do something about your mayor, but then had a change of
well,
heart.
what she did, she didn't want to be the first governor in the history of New York to fire a mayor, right?
Oh, okay.
I mean, basically that was it. It's never been done. Does that mean it should never been done? If
Well, okay.
something that she can do, isn't this the time to do it? But
it what
instead, she punted it to some special counsel that she appointed, right?
right. No, and that is
So it
one.
means that
Right.
she ducks the responsibility,
Yes.
right?
No, okay. Thanks for explaining that. No, because I do understand why that's a complex call. And this is also, though, something that I said that the Democrats need to. I mean, what they don't need to take out of the playbook of Republicans is bullying, mean spiritedness, personal attacks. But what they do need to take out of the playbook is everything within the letter of the law, but push it to exactly the letter of the law. Don't do no longer rely on decorum or the way it's always been or it's never been done before. If the law says you can do it because that's how they operate. If the Democrats operated that way, we'd have Merrick Garland on the Supreme Court. We'd probably still have Roe versus Wade. Like, I mean, the Democrats have to stop playing nice, but I mean that in a legal sense, not in a let's all call him names and then he gets to feel sorry for himself because Democrats are so mean. Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. But what she could have done is saying this is very serious. It's more serious than anything happened before, so I'm asking him to step aside. So that this would allow, at this point, he can appoint somebody and interim, and there can be a decent primary fight, so that possibly in November, New Yorkers could, I don't know, elect somebody who was relatively honest as mayor. I mean,
I dare I say for once. Okay, so
the last honest mayor you had was Bloomberg, only because he didn't need to steal. I mean,
right, no,
he
right.
may not have made the right decisions in terms of policies.
Okay, but that he didn't need to steal. But that is exactly the excuse or the reasoning for that when I say they aren't don't people see it? They see it differently. Their reasoning with Elon Musk is he's the richest man on earth. He is obviously doing this out of the benevolence of his own kind heart. He's doing this for free. How dare you attack a man who's doing this? He's
now
literally
capable of giving his own companies.
no, right. I know that.
Contract.
You know that. He's already scrapped departments that have his own companies under review. They don't see.
I mean,
no, yeah,
he can come out of this twice as wealthy.
he will. Oh,
Right.
yeah. They're already people who are crunching the numbers. How much has Trump made since November? How much has Musk made
Yes.
since November off of this? And it is in the yeah.
Billions of dollars. Billions of dollars.
Okay, cancel culture. What do you think of this one? A popcorn company. They make popcorn. It's called Lesser Evil. They have a little icon of a Buddha. They have a pink Himalayan flavor. I've liked them. I've eaten them. I get a strange email. It turns out the son of the owner of the popcorn company is the 25-year-old hacker that Musk has assigned to have all our private data now. I don't know. I didn't know that. I don't know who was reporting that. But the popcorn company preemptively sends out an email to say, just to let you know, that has nothing to do with us. We have no, that's nothing to do with the company. We don't have a political stance. in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. I don't actually think the son of the CEO of the that wouldn't necessarily prompt me to stop choosing this product. But then the rest of the letter goes on to be they use this phrase, all snackers, and they mean, I guess, everyone who eats snacks, but they use it multiple times in a way that very much, it just read like kind of like all lives matter, or like, it just, you could tell that they were very much wanting to say, hey, people who like natural foods and are hippies and are probably left, don't worry, we're not that. But also, if you're on the right, come on in. You know, like they were trying to play. So at that point, I was like, you know what? There are lots of companies that sell popcorn. I think I'm out. So I don't know. What is your take on sort of that whole?
Well, it's fascinating. As you're speaking, I'm wondering if this that the spin, because all the corporations are going to have to somehow move away. Well, they've got to move away from DEI, right?
Well, first of all, again, a judge has put that on hold, so we'll
Okay,
see how that all plays out. But yes, they already
these
have.
companies don't. These companies, I believe that maybe 10% of them were genuinely were genuine. Okay,
Right.
90% of the time it was cosmetic, right?
Yep.
You agree? So it doesn't have to be cosmetic anymore. They don't have to spend money on stuff on HR in that area. But on the other hand, you know, they're not stupid. They know that maybe half the country or a portion of half the country is upset that DEI is being abandoned by the administration. So they need to drive down the middle of the road, right?
Right. Well, right. I mean, and
So
again,
this kind
when you
of
say
wording that
yeah,
you're saying you're
yes.
coming up with is it's like we're colorblind, or you
Right. No,
know,
no, no, right. No, yes. A return to that. I mean,
it's the old everybody's equal, so
yeah. No, yeah. No, and then I've heard specifically, and at the top levels of government, the phrase colorblind, the phrase melting pot again, which again doesn't acknowledge that when everything melts into one pot, the individual flavors get lost, and it all just becomes. It doesn't. That's we're not a melting pot. We are a
okay, you have
quilt.
to
We
be
are a
invited into the pot.
to only to
You have to
you.
be
You can
invited. The Irish were not invited. The black slaves were not invited. I
oh
mean,
well,
the Native
yeah.
Americans were not invited, right? They
Well,
were kept out
they
of
were
the
the
pot.
fuel that how they're the fuel that's heating the pot. I mean they're the yeah but the whole point is I mean in the metaphor you're supposed to dilute your culture and it just dissolves away and now you're part of the greater and that is not America isn't it was never a melting pot. It's a quilt of cultures
Yes.
that some overlap and some are separate and some are but it's you know I mean it's pick any metaphor but the ones that they're picking right now they're very specific and they know what they're doing but how the company how they're going to drive down the middle of the road I think well I mean I think it depends on the issue I think again regardless of well, they're going to see how many people get deported because maybe we're not going to be a minority majority country by 2040. I mean, that's what we were looking at. But they know that people of color make up a large percentage of their customers and they still need them. Women make up a large percent of their customers. But you can look at kind of what they've done with the gay community to see like where that's all going. Where, you know, Target first they had all the displays at the front of the store. Then they said you can move it to the back of the store. Then they said if you don't want to, you don't have to have it in your store at all. Then they just kind of stopped shipping it to the stores at all. So there's no Pride merchandise, you know. But for years and years and years, they were happy to put it at the front of the store if it was profitable, if it aligned them with something that they And that's exactly what at least in their quarterly earnings reports to shareholders, they're very sang froid about it. They were like, we tried it, it wasn't profitable, we're going back to the old way, which is their old way anyway. It's not like, I mean, it really is just business as usual. It's not like they're doing something new and different. They're just acknowledging it out loud. And in many cases, it's how they were operating anyway, but now they just don't have to worry about being sued. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not, when you look at executive levels, you don't see we actually had parity among women or people of color or any other representation. I mean, so they weren't walking the walk anyway, and now they just don't, now they don't have to walk. Now they don't have to walk on eggshells. They can just stomp the walk like they always did, I guess.
Well, the broad message seems to be that women and minorities make the country less efficient, whether it's the army, in other words, if we apply meritocracy, right? Meritocracy is supposed to, in this, Elon Musk, Nazi and segregationist, believes that meritocracy will benefit white males, right?
Right. No, that is their belief. Yes.
So they're just using a new filter. They're using this as a.
But no, but again, they're
They go back to
confusing.
the old
But
filter.
it has never. I shouldn't say it has never. The initiatives have always been about recruiting with the understanding that there are qualified women and people of color out there who are not being reached by traditional means. That is what the root of DEI forward hiring practices are. It's not about lowering the bar. It never has been in the military. So, for instance, this very dramatic, and to me, it's wild that there were no casualties and even everyone has been released from the hospital. The plane that landed upside down, the right wing has already, pilots' names have been released, but they're saying it's a woman. They have her name. They've decided, and this is their narrative. This will be their narrative.
Yes, the narrative, that is going to be the narrative going forward, which is that if a minority can be blamed for something, they will be.
I mean, to me, this is just like the New York Post in the 90s, in the 80s and 90s, where we will put a mugshot of a black guy on the cover every single day, regardless of what else is going on in the world, just because we can, because he stole a $5 watch, or because just because we can.
They're back to that. They're practically back to that anyway.
Yeah.
They're back to that. So, I don't know. Let's say let's say the court system puts some brakes on some of what is happening, and the Democrats get the Congress in the midterm. Has irreparable damage been done?
Yes.
I mean, he's not going to shrink away.
Yes. I mean, no, we knew. I mean,
he will still continue, I think, to fire people that work for him if things don't work out. There are things that he's promised that he cannot deliver, and he will always blame somebody else for that.
Yes.
So he'll fire Steve Miller or Elon Musk or some of these people will go.
Right. I mean, and I'm curious. I mean, I always say it's not shade and fright. I don't even think I pronounced that word right, but it's not. I can't. There's no vicarious thrill watching him fail because he's running the country. You know what I mean? But some of these people, like Stephen Miller or Elon Musk, are dangerous in their own separate right. So I am curious when, how the falling outs will happen, because that will continue to happen. That is a retread of the last administration, is that no one lasts forever in his orbit. They can't. There's nothing to hold, because he has to, at the end of the day, it has to be him. And so, I mean, I'm, I guess, vaguely curious about.
How many of his supporters have buyer's remorse, especially among minorities, do you think?
Will
it happen only if their wallets are hurt?
Right. I neither gleefully like, ha ha ha, told you so. And the same thing with protest voters who voted a third party or not at all or
Yeah.
whatever. It's not a gleeful I told you so, but it's a what did you expect? I mean, the so there are people, for instance, who are saying, wait, but they said they were only going to arrest, deport hardened criminals. No, first of all, they said they were going to start with hardened criminals, which by definition means at some point they're going to move on to something else. Sorry, that happened sooner than you expected. And two, even if they hadn't, he is a documented known liar. So why would you at this point in 2025 expect to keep him at his word at anything? I'm somewhat surprised that he is as frank as he is, and that's only because he's so emboldened. I mean, like when they ask him, "Are you willing to rule out force in Greenland or the Panama?" He says, "Nope." I think in the past he would have hedged his bets a little bit more, but he doesn't even have to lie anymore.
No, you're right. He actually, I think he enjoys being outrageous on the world stage. So, and then he makes up the fact that everybody agrees with him or it's beautiful.
Right, but no, but I mean, you get what you pay for. If you didn't, if what you wanted wasn't a bully and a liar, then that is a little bit shame on you. I mean, that is a little bit like if you are surprised, genuinely surprised. And again, that same thing with Musk and Doge. When they're surprised that it comes after Medicaid, which they did promise they wouldn't, farm subsidies, all the, like you said, copper is my, that town where they make the pennies, like all of it. You get what you pay for. This is what you wanted. Okay, switching completely gears to
Yeah.
sports, just for the sake of it. The Yankees, after 50 years, have removed their bans on beards and long hair. I guess this goes back to the 70s and George Steinbrenner. He just didn't like it. This was an era where sort of everyone's getting a little bit shaggier, men and baseball players were looking scruffier, so he banned it for the Yankees, and so no beards, no long hair. Now his son is saying they're losing top prospects. Like, people don't want to go to the Yankees because they're not going to cut their ponytails or whatever. So,
I think that's fascinating. First of all, I was complete until now. I mean, this week, I was completely unaware
so they
that
did. Yeah,
they
no, I didn't. I
followed.
was like, I didn't. I was thinking, like, I know generally what Yankees look like. I can picture them. Yeah, I guess they are always clean cut, but I didn't necessarily compare that to another team or any, like I didn't.
No. At the
Yeah.
same time, when I do catch an interview with a football player, I'm always admiring the degree of attention that they often seem to pay to their grooming. In other words, yeah, they used to start having longer hair in the 80s,
Yes.
but now it's big bushy, but big bushy beards or very, I mean
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
it and I think I kind of I admire that because I mean, for the same reason that I admire Serena Williams for doing a half, becoming part of the entertainment
Yes.
industry.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Because in a way, they are part of the entertainment industry.
Yes.
They're very, very good at what they do, and I don't think they should be any less able to dress up than if they were a rock band or a singer or something like that, right? I
No,
mean,
yeah, no, and no, I agree, and I've enjoyed that as well over the last evolution over the last 20 years or so. I think for me, one of the things, obviously, I think very much individual. I've always been an individual. One of the things that was alienating and uninteresting about sports was a uniform, the idea of wearing a uniform, but the fact that they find their individuality in that, they're wearing the same thing as everyone else in the shoulder pads, but you can still tell who's who because their hair is coming out the back of their helmet, and it's yeah, no, I love all that.
so I believe in fashion diversity in sports or
Yes,
hair diversity in sports.
I think that was probably yeah no this which is probably all yeah all we're really qualified to talk about sports. I don't think we can really talk about the statistics.
I can't go beyond that. I will say, though, that I was profoundly shocked to see a news report that this fellow, whose name I refuse to remember, who is now on trial for murder, the guy that shot the health person, the
Oh
health.
yeah 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 no yeah yeah
There are, I mean, this has happened in the past. I mean, it's nothing new. That since he was seen in a red pullover and a white shirt,
oh yeah
there are dozens of girls wearing red pullovers and white shirts
yeah
who are.
no someone actually like internet detectives tracked down sort of the exact one. It sold out. The company had to make a statement being like, we don't we're not with that, which I do appreciate. Yeah, he's raised $500,000. He has a website where you can send fan mail. I continue to be dismayed by and none of this is to say the healthcare system isn't broken or that I am.
No. But I think ultimately, if I was his defense attorneys, I would be very concerned about the fan aspect, because
Right.
I think it backfires. I
But
don't know.
but they're leaning into it at least now. So last week we talked, and I hadn't gone to a protest. You know, what is the value of protesting? I'm
Yes,
still on the fence. I'm glad I went. I mean, I'm glad. So I went to a bigger protest downtown, and then a smaller protest that was really specifically to trans healthcare workers who themselves are not trans, but who work with trans youth.
yes,
You know, and I mean, these are people, some of whom were almost awkwardly, I don't want to say homophobic, but awkwardly like, I don't care about their beliefs or values, but I care about helping children. It's my job, and I do like, but who are just talking about like basically, I see that this helps families, it doesn't harm anyone, and it's ridiculous that someone tells me how to do my job. But also, no, that was an interesting aspect of it. But the other part was some of the trans youth who mostly chose to not be identified by name, but saying, you know, just being here, coming out, I haven't felt safe in my own country, in my own communities, but being here, seeing a group of people out here supporting me means the world to me. And so,
sure, sure.
and it was
And
in the
it's
rain.
going to grow and grow and grow.
And so, yeah, and they are. I mean, there are protests all weekend. There have been protests outside of Tesla dealerships. I'm sorry, they're not dealerships. They're because that's yet another law that they skirt. They're technically showrooms. Because, anyway, but there are protests at Teslas. There are protests. It is a movement that's growing, and I think that does have value.
Oh, yes, I
And
agree. A grassroots movement has more value
yes,
than,
and
than
it
you sending $5 to the Democratic Party.
absolutely. And it was a reminder to me how much just being out there and seeing people who are like-minded and like-valued, I appreciate. Though again, when I see like free Luigi signs and other people like ha 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 yes and taking pictures, I'm like I'm not with them. Like I'm not like us. No, sorry. Like I don't. That makes. But that is an entrenched
Yeah, I know. It's
aspect
clear.
of. I mean, there are two. Well, that and then what I see is, unfortunately, open anti-Semitism within the Free Palestine movement are two things on the left that I am reporting from the ground. I am seeing, and it makes me uncomfortable. And that's what makes me unsure how to move forward when I'm with you and you and you, but not them. But their chants are loud, and people walking down the
Yeah.
sidewalk don't know I'm not with that. You know, it. Yeah. So I mean, it's a complex world, and that's okay.
That's okay.
What's your
Well,
week coming? What? Oh, I saw The Monkey. It's good. I recommend Osgood's new
so
movie,
what?
The Monkey. Oz's new movie.
Oh, you did.
Yes, I
Good.
recommend. I do recommend. Of
Okay.
course, if you can. I mean, it's a horror movie. It's got some graphic moments. It's much different from Longlegs. It's a much more like sort of workman like. I can make a non-arty linear.
Okay.
You know, it's a very different type of movie, but it also I enjoyed it.
Good. I'll watch it.
I love horror. What do you have coming up this week?
Um, not a lot. Just some meetings. It's still quiet. we're going to go to the Hong Kong Art Fair. That's the last, I think it's the last week in March. So
Okay.
I do some preparations for that,
Yes.
probably. Yeah.
Do you take? I mean, you bring all your art with you, and you set up a
Yeah,
booth.
we take a bunch of things. We try
Yeah.
to choose things that uh
How do you pick what to bring?
possibly things that we hope that have a chance that we will sell,
Yes.
and things that maybe we suspect may be too expensive, but will make people remember who we are and sit up and take notice. So,
The main sort of anti, well, and I also just say it, I can say it because I'm in America, anti-Beijing party has dissolved in Hong Kong just this week.
well, yeah, it 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 was apparent to me last year when I went that as a commercial event, the art fair occupies a bubble and seems to be diligently unaffected by the local politics.
Right.
However, in conversations that I've had with younger artists based in Hong Kong, that is not going to last very long. In other
Hmm.
words, the things that, I mean, President Xi doesn't give a crap about art.
Right.
So if, in other words, if the Hong Kong Art Fair, which brings X amount of revenue to Hong Kong, is something that the central party in Beijing thinks is decadent or corrupt or whatever, they'll just do away with it. It doesn't have any leverage as a commercial entity any
Right.
more than some of the big British companies, which were all kicked out.
Right. No. Right.
So
Right.
they,
Right.
they want Hong Kong, um, and they don't care if it's reduced on the world stage,
Yeah.
because they'll just absorb it. You see,
Yeah.
it's the same thing with Taiwan, and
Right. No. Right.
this is what's so dangerous about Trump is doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
He wants Greenland, he wants Ukraine, he wants whatever he wants, and so it emboldens China to say whether it's the islands between them and Japan or Taiwan or whatever, we're going in and we're taking them, and we don't care if we reduce them to rubble. It doesn't matter. It's just more real estate for us.
I mean that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're people's lives. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know whether I mentioned this to you, but an artist friend of mine who works in Hong Kong, out of Hong Kong, she travels quite a lot. An acquaintance of her who was walking within sight of a demonstration, but was not in any way part of a demonstration, but was wearing a black face mask for health reasons, was put in jail for 14. He was picked up and put in jail for 14 days because he was wearing, I mean, you talked about tattoos. He was wearing a black face mask.
Well,
And
no, and I mean
all
they.
of the protesters wear black face masks to be anonymous, and
Right.
it was totally coincidental. And
Right.
he,
No, and I mean they are banning face masks here, and again, that's I there are medical challenges, but yeah, they want to do the same thing here, and
but I'll report back after this trip.
yeah, no, yeah. All right, I love you.
I love you, Bob. Have a great week.
Have a
Okay,
great week. Yep.
you
Talk to
well.
you hopefully next week.
Enjoy the sunny weather or the
Yeah.
warm weather.
Well, we have rain, but it's warm. Yeah.